That right there is the holy grail of laser engraving. Photos onto glass using a diode laser, in this case the xTool F2. If you want to know how, then I'm going to show you absolutely everything. Let's do this. So today we are going to be running through material selection. I'm going to show where I get these coasters from. I'm then going to show you how to manually focus onto a transparent material like glass. Then we're going to move into xTool Studio, where I am going to be showing you how to import your photo, how to remove the background, how to adjust the photo to be optimized to be engraved onto glass. Then we're going to go into our framing, get our image perfectly placed. Finally, we're going to move on to the critical part, which is material settings. And there are some really unique key things you need to know, so make sure you stick around for the whole video. Then we're going to engrave, and then at the end I'm going to share with you a bonus tip which is critical to your success, so stick around and we're going to get straight to it. Let's move on to what you're going to need to do this. So we're going to start off with our glass coasters. As you can see, you can get these in different variations, circular and square. I got these off Amazon. They can come in packs of 4 and 6 and they're fairly cheap. I'll try and include the links in the description below, but this should work on any kind of glass. So moving on from that, we are going to need to paint our surface, and in this case this is a tempera paint. This is one I get from the UK, but there are so many different versions. I will also try to link it as well, so check out the description to find that. So I apply with a standard paintbrush. You can see this one's seen a lot of use for lots of things, but it's not critical to have anything. I just like the wide surface area of this one. And then I also have a cheap little pot which I think I took off my kids to put the paint into. And finally, as you can see, I've already done it. I like to have a surface just to paint onto so that I don't make a big mess. So let's go on and I'll show you how this works. So we're going to start off just by pouring loads of paint in here. I'm always quite sparing. You can use as much or as little as you like. I mean, that's way too much for one coaster, but I'll use it again later. And obviously with our paintbrush, we've got our coaster placed. So I forgot to mention, these do come with rubber feet, so try and orientate it the right way. You could in theory engrave on the bottom surface. I've been engraving on the top, and I will do in this video. And I am not doing this in any delicate way. You'll see I literally just cake the paintbrush in this tempera paint. I like to personally apply a really thick layer of paint, and our settings will accommodate this, don't you worry. And I've really gone for a lot there. I'll show you in detail just how much we have on that, and it should flatten out as it dries. But you can see that's a thick layer. So I apply thickness. You can go as light as you want, but I just want to make sure there's no clear spaces and we get a consistent coat without. In true arts and craft fashion, here is one I have prepared earlier. You can see it dries fairly evenly. You might get little bits on the bottom that come through, but you can clean that off after. But this is going to give us a great base. So the next part is really key not to destroy your laser base. So if you just placed it on there like that, once the laser penetrates, it's going to then intensify and it's probably going to mark your material underneath. So you need to find a way to raise it up. You could use the cutting plate. You could get special jigs for it. In this case, I have been just using my self-centering jig. Luckily with these screws, it's perfect for it to sit off of the bed far enough, as you can see there, so that when that light penetrates, it won't melt anything, it won't mark anything, and we'll have a nice clean finish. So let's move on. Now, I did mention focusing on transparent materials. This isn't bad because we are painted. The way we focus with the xTool F2 is with that knob on the side. We are going to turn it left or right. In this case, I believe it will be left until those two dots are joined together, and then we know we are focused and we are ready to go. Let's move over to xTool Studio. So here we are in xTool Studio. We are familiar with this screen now, and if you go to the top right, you will see the new project tab. Click that, it's going to open up a new tab, and then it should automatically connect to your machine and take a photo like it has right there. So we have focused manually. We could also do a autofocus as well, but the first thing we are going to do in this case is go up here and select unknown material, and we are going to specify a glass material that works well. And you'll see there is one called clear soda lime glass. I like using that one, so select it, click apply. This is going to be apparent why we've done this later on when we adjust our image, but for now we're happy. And if you did want to do an auto measure on your focus, just click that button right there, and I will do it. The machine behind me will turn its lights off, move up and down, and then it will focus where it deems it being perfect. It will update the photo, and there you go. We're ready to move on to the next step. So before we get on to that, I just want to thank you for watching the video today and say, if you want me to continue making these great tutorials to help you out, then please support the channel by hitting the subscribe button, liking the video, and if you are interested in any xTool machine or you want to upgrade, then please use our channel's affiliate links down below in the description. It helps support it, it helps allow me to keep making these, and I will continue to keep making them for as long as I can. Let's get straight back to it. The next thing we need to do is source our image. I've just gone onto Google and found a good photo of Angelina Jolie. You can use any photo you want for this, it should work. But once you have your photo, what you're going to need to do is remove the background for perfect clarity. Let me show you how to do that next. So the first thing I'm going to do is import the image that I got. And as you can see, this one has the background. So you can remove backgrounds using xTool Studio by going to this cutout tool here. But if it's a complex situation like this one is, ultimately it's not great. And how it works is you select the areas and it will deem the bits to cut out. But as you can see right there, it's not always great. It is good on the simplified photos. So here is the website we're using. It's Adobe Express and they have a free background remover, which I find works really well. I'll include a link for it in the description as well. So all you need to do is click on upload your photo, select the image that I just showed you, and you'll see it will open it up and it will use its own AI to remove any space it deems as a background. And as you can see here, it's done an excellent job. Then all you need to do is in the top right, click that download button as I'm about to show you, select download again, and it will download your image. Let's move on back to xTool Studio. So let's delete this one. We're going to import the one we've just generated right there. And as you can see now, we have transparent background, which is what we want. Let me explain why. If you have a background when you're engraving images onto things like slate coasters, glass, even stainless steel, the background will wash out the photo because ultimately the contrast is so narrow between the two that it just doesn't allow the image to pop. In this case, we only care about the person, so we're removing that background. Now we're on to our next thing, which is getting this image prepared for our coaster. If we had a square coaster, we might keep it as it is. We've got a round coaster, so I want a round cutout around it. So how we do that is select the photo. Up here, you'll see a mask area. You can also right click and select create mask. Once you do that, you're going to see a load of shapes over here on the right. You can click any of them and they will then give you an outline. We're going to click the circle, then we're just going to left click and drag that circle. I want the top of her hairline to be in the photo. I also want the necklace because I think that's a feature that will look really good. So as you can see, I am just adjusting it until it is in an area where I think it's good. And to be honest with you, I think that that is going to look really nice on our photo. So I'm going to click that done button at the top. And now you can see we have a circle around it, which means our image is going to look natural and not out of place on this round coaster. So there you go. We're going to position it now. And I just like to get it centrally located. Around that is perfect. What we want to do now is we want to actually adjust our image to optimize it for glass. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but when you engrave an image onto glass, you need to invert it, which is basically flipping the black and the whites so that it looks like a negative photograph. The reason for this is because where the beam hits the glass, it produces white, and where there are dark colors, it almost leaves it transparent. So if you kept the color like that, your photo would look backwards like a negative photo when you engrave it. So the reason we are going to do this adjustment is to get the contrast and the brightness and also the sharpness perfect, but we're going to use xTool Studio to help us with this. So earlier on, we selected our material as clear soda lime glass. There's a good reason for this, and that's because xTool Studio now has parameters that when it sees a certain material, it adjusts the material based off of that. So select your image, click that adjust button right there, and then on the left-hand side, and I will zoom in, you have got sharpness, saturation, brightness, contrast, temperature, and tint. You can manually adjust those if you want, and you'll see as you do it, it will do it like that. You can also set it to invert manually, and that's what an inversion is right there. You can set it to grayscale, so if it was color, then you're good to go there. But in our case, we are going to untick that, we're going to untick that, and we are going to let xTool do the legwork for us. So what I mean by that is we're going to select auto adjust, and as you can see, it's inverted it, it's done the contrast, it's done the sharpness, and it's done the brightness, and we are just in this case gonna allow it to use those settings for our engraving. What I will say, here's a little bonus tip: the brightness and the contrast are useful to to adjust. If you have too many white areas, it will leave it transparent on the glass. So you might want to make the brightness a bit less just to have it more of a gray color than a white color. But I am going to stick with the vanilla auto adjust settings in this case. The next step for us is to frame it, because although we have a photo and the photo on the F2 is pretty good, it's not always perfect, and we should always manually frame as good habit. So we're going to click that framing button in the bottom right. In this case, I am going to use an outline frame. I want to see the actual silhouette of the photo to position it right. I'm going to have light power on 10, and then we're going to hit that framing button. Let's go and take a look. So in this case, we are good. If we wanted to, we could rotate this jig around to position it, but I think we've got the positioning nailed on. So let's move over to those material settings. One thing I also wanted to show you is you're probably wondering how I achieved these material settings. I did a number of image material tests on loads of different coasters, and each time I used the refined settings, tweaked it, and then I tested different amounts of passes. And then I also tested other settings I thought were good that turned out okay, but not perfect. But as you can see, these material settings I'm about to give you, they really are tested and tried. So I hope you appreciate the hard work I put into them, and give me a like and a follow if you really do get something out of these videos. So let's move over to material settings. So I want to caveat material settings. You just saw I've done a lot of testing. However, there is a variable at play here, and it's the thickness of the paint and probably glass type. So these settings are what we're going to use as a baseline, but I'm going to tell you that bonus tip at the end, how to guarantee good results every time. So make sure you stick around for that. So here we are. Let's select our image. We are then going to move over here to our material settings, and you'll see I've got a number of different ones from all the testing I did, but I have ended up with this one right here. And how we're going to do this then? We are going to use the blue light. We are going to use 397 dot duration, 89 power, 395 DPI, and 2 passes, and we're using Jarvis bitmap mode. Like I said, those settings alone won't achieve success. You need to make sure you hear all of the advice I give you to get those results, but that is what we're doing. So we framed it, we've got our material settings. Let's move over to that engraving, and then after that I will tell you the information that's really key. So now we're going to hit that process button in the bottom right, and it's going to give us our picture. It uninverts it for this bit, but don't panic, it is going to invert it. And you can see in this case 11 minutes 28. Like I said, we are doing 2 passes. There's a reason I'm doing 2 passes, and that's because of the thickness of the paint. The first pass will not give you enough clarity and impact on that glass coaster. So we're going to click start. We're going to wait for the beep, and now we're going to move over and we're going to watch the engraving. So safety announcement, we will be using the blue diode laser, and this will be producing little bits of dust. So close your lid or wear safety glasses if you're having the lid open. I also have extraction going into an air purifier. So those 2 things are critical to achieve success and safety. Let's move on. So I wanted to just show you the results here. And this isn't me saying, wow, look at it. This is me now giving you a tip, okay? So like I said, the thickness of the paint is a variable. And in this case, I would almost say to do a 3rd pass, potentially. I think this will look good, but in my opinion, it will probably look a little bit better if we did a 3rd pass, just to clear off that extra little paint on the surface. I'm not going to do it in this case. I'm happy with what we've got. So the next step is for me to clean this up with warm water, wash it off, and then I'll show you the results. Now for the bonus tip, which I promised you, and this one is key. So in this case, I really was happy with the image, but you can see some little patches on it. And in this case, what I would say is with your photos, when you're applying the paint, the thickness is always going to be a variable. It can be thin, it can be thick. I apply a thick coat because I can then guide it more. But if you've got to your engraving and you find that it looks a bit washed out before you've got it, try a 3rd pass, okay? The passes are what give that clarity, burn off the paint and get that finishing thing. And that's why I would recommend doing that. The other thing is the contrast. So the areas which are transparent, they are the light areas on your photo. So it's critical that you adjust that brightness, the contrast and the sharpness just to get that nice middle ground. Every photo is different, but if you follow those steps, you are going to have no issues whatsoever. So there you have it. Like I said, we have some beautiful results there. If you want to learn more great tips, check out our Facebook xTool F2 group. I'll include the link in the description. If you love the look of the xTool machines, use any of them here or the other ones, or you want to upgrade, then check out the affiliate links down below. Use our discount code. It really helps support us and allows us to keep doing what we're doing. And I want to thank you for watching once again. I've got loads more of these to come, so stay tuned and have a great day. Take it easy, guys.